Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Wealth and Wisdom with Fred Belcastro from the John DeVita Broadcast Center on the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network and Jack FM 89.7 WRHS FM Norwich on Friday, November the 21st, the year 2014. And now, here is Fred Belcastro.
When you're smiling,
When you're smiling,
when you're smiling,
when you're smiling,
and the whole world smiles with you.
smile with you.
And when you're laughing,
When you're laughing,
oh, you're laughing.
oh, you're laughing,
When the sun comes shining through.
shining through.
When you're crying,
When you're crying,
you bring on the rain.
bring on the
Stop
rain.
your sighing.
Stop your sighing.
Won't you be happy again?
Happy again.
When you're smiling,
When you're smiling,
keep on smiling.
keep on smiling.
And the whole world smiles with you.
Good morning and welcome once again to the Wealth and Wisdom program. My name is Fred Belcastro, your host. During the week, I can be reached at area 630-673-4360. Or if you prefer to send me an email, we receive the emails at fbelsecure, that's FBELSECURE, at AOL.com. And I want to thank you for sending in those emails. I received quite a few over the past week. We answer them one on one. One I'd like to talk to you about a little bit this morning is from an individual on the northwest side of Chicago, Dave. And let me paraphrase. I didn't bring the printed out here. I have several ways to go, several choices to make with this portfolio. And my advisor says it's pretty much up to me, and I can't really decide which way to go. What are your suggestions? And so, well, of course, I spoke to Dave about this, and then it brings up a statement that I had made several weeks ago on this program concerning the fear of making a mistake. I dug up the card, and it said that 43% of individuals were afraid of making a mistake, a financial planning mistake. And then went on to say that 5 out of 7 are more confused after talking to their financial advisor than they were prior to the sit-down. And then I'd say, well, we talked before about verification. The only time, and I think the only way that you could have confidence in your portfolio or in your financial plan is to be able to verify. Otherwise, how can you feel satisfied and secure over a long period of time? You would eliminate any frightening experience or any lack of confidence by being able to verify it, to prove. There has to be a method. And of course, there are methods. One of the things that we talked about when we said you have $3 million in the bathtub, and I don't mean to make a joke about a bathtub, but I'm saying you have the potential of earning at least $3 million during your lifetime. The most important thing is to save the money, protect the money. And then we spent some time, a couple of programs, and last week I didn't mean to beat the horse to death, but talking about opportunity costs and what it costs us, and the economic principle of scarcity, and how with our scarce resources they have to be protected. That's the number one goal before we even start. My son-in-law, I don't make much of a personal references to my family, but I have a son-in-law. My daughter married Bob. They live in Beloit, Wisconsin. He has a degree in horticulture, and he has a landscape business up there. And his degree is horticulture, and it always makes me laugh. His minor is woody ornamentals. Before being introduced to that subject, I never gave it much thought. A lilac bush or other woody ornamentals. I guess that takes maybe roses and things of that nature. But I said to him, Bob, when you plant an acreage or when you plant a landscape, what do you have to do? What's the first thing you have to do? And he said, Fred, we have to take soil tests in various locations on the property before we can determine what type of plants would fit best in each given situation or area. And I said, well, what does that mean? He said, well, we dig up soil and test the soil for its chemical components. Now, this is something that, before being told this, I never gave it any thought. I never thought about testing dirt. It's dirt. What do you have? I got dirt. And as long as you had dirt, you can grow things. But that's not really the way it works. I guess you can relate that to, gee, I have a 401. Hey, what's in your 401? I don't know. It's a 401. You know, there's maybe a little bit more to it. How about with concrete? I have a friend that's in the concrete business. Years and years, he's retired. But they used to do what's called a slump test. When they pour any concrete on any structure, any engineered structure, they perform what's called a slump test. What they do is pour cement or concrete into a funnel-looking thing, turn it upside down, empty the contents out of the funnel, and measure then the amount of inches that it falls or slumps, and this determines how much water to add or whether or not the consistency or the velocity of the material is sufficient for that engineered product. Most of us have seen on TV the How It's Made show. Whenever I'd watch the How It's Made, they do any type of structural construction, they'll test it. They'll have their engineers test the flexibility, the strength, the tensile strength, and it's all for our safety. It's all for our benefits to make certain that the materials that we buy. Am I going on and on and on about this? I can't go on and on enough, because it's of primary importance. My wife used to work, she was an accountant at Underwriters Laboratory. You know what they do there? They test. They test for the safety. They test for the structural. They test for how long the material will last, how fireproof it is. They do tests. When we go to the doctor, how about if we went to the doctor and he didn't do any tests? He said to me, Fred, he said, you should see this knife I have now. It's an electrical knife. You almost don't even feel the incision. I can give you, right here, he said, I can give you an appendectomy. I say, that's great, Doc, thanks. Yeah, any charge? No problem. What if I didn't need it? What if it was the wrong procedure? Do you see what I'm getting to? Why don't we test? And then, because especially with financial products, all have their merits, but they all have the disadvantages as well. Do we look at any of the disadvantages and how that might interfere with what the erosion factors are as far as our economic investments been? We've talked about it for the last few weeks. What are those opportunity costs involved? How about the taxes I pay on that product? How about the threat of inflation with that product? Do you see what I'm talking about? So every product that an advisor could put in our portfolio, sure, it's good, and I'm sure he's a good advisor, and he's making a presentation of some sound products, but how do they fit? How can we have confidence, be secure, feel good about placing them in our portfolio? It's just like in medicine, you just can't take, if I'm taking a pill, I'm broadcasting this morning from John DeVita's broadcast center here on the Northwest Side. John's here at the controls. If I said, John, here's a great pill I've got for my blood pressure, take it, you'll relax. Is that the right thing to do? That makes no sense, does it? And neither does putting something in our portfolio where we have the most limited amount of resources, our dollars, when we're willing to spend or invest our dollars on something that doesn't fit. We wouldn't buy a size 3 shoe if we have a size 12 foot, would we? But I think I've done that enough. Have I done that enough? So I'm telling everyone, please, when we have a portfolio, verify, test. There's economic procedures that you can go through to make certain that it's the right program for you, that it fits with what you need and with what you want. If you have any questions or any problems, give me a call, area 630-673-4360. Send me an email. We'll read it and we'll discuss it online. But before anything is invested, before anything is done, the first step is, of course, I hate to use the B. Can I use the B word? But budget. you stumble over that word? All right, I'm going to take the B word out and I'm going to say cash flow. We all have cash, and we bring home that cash and we deposit it where? Well, we deposit it maybe in our lifestyle money. But why don't we take a more common sense approach to it and write out the amount of money, make a budget, do a cash flow analysis, what's coming in and what's going out. Then we'll know where our money is going. How many of us have sat down at the end of the year, got our 1099s and our W-2s and said, wow, we made this much money? What did we do with it? Where did it go? They said. If the average American family has 34% in transfer fees and debt expenditures, maybe that's where it goes. Maybe we can take a look at that. We have to know where our money is going. Our money is, remember the last few weeks and the opportunity, we talked about the erosion factors. That shows us that our money is alive. It's not just math. It's a commodity, and the commodity moves. It moves in value. And so it's active, like maybe like an electrical current. And thinking about this, I said, yeah, maybe that's why they call it a currency, because money is active. We wouldn't, on an income, say, of $50,000 a year. I don't want to use figures, but let's say we have $50,000 a year, and we want a builder, a contractor to build us a home. So we take 10 years income, we take $50,000, we multiply up to $500,000, $500,000, and we give it to this contractor, and we said, build me a house. Do we have any plans for that house? No, but I want 4 walls. I want it to safe, and I put a top on it, like a roof or something, and maybe on top of that roof put a bathroom, because I'm going to want to bring the porta potties on the inside. We want it in the house. I'm not sure where to put it, but you know what to do. You construct me. What are you, silly? You don't do that. We've never done that. We've looked at plans. We had an architect present plans before you build a home, before you build a garage. They'll give you plans of where the plot lines are and where the garage is going to go. Why don't we do that with their most precious resource of all, as far as economics, and that's our money. In order to win with the money race, you've got to first write it out on paper, make a plan. That's all. That's all the important thing is to do. And of course, when we make that deposit, where do we deposit it? We deposit it to our lifestyle. Once it's in the lifestyle, it's in trouble, because it could be spent on any number of things. We sometimes confuse ourselves and say, yeah, no, that want is really a need. I got to have this. I got to have that boat. We have to have that second car. We have to improve our lifestyle. We have to increase our conspicuous consumption, because, I'm with this organization now, or I'm in this club, or we live in this neighborhood like right now. All this money that goes into our lifestyle is to be guarded, because it's very explosive. I say it's explosive because, from here, it'll be sent to our accumulation funds. It'll be sent to our transfer fees. So out of the lifestyle money, it goes all over, and that's why I think it should be watched carefully. I like to use the expression, it should be watched like a warm bottle of nitroglycerin, because if we mishandle our money, it'll explode on us and put us in a big hole. We can eliminate this by starting a budget. Most of the time, after we've spent money, it seems to blow a hole in our pocket. We just seem to spend our money as much as we can.
Money burns a hole in my pocket. How I wish I had millions of dollars and nothing to do but just buy
pretty presents for you. Money burns a hole in my pocket. How I wish I had oil wells in Texas to keep me supplied with money while I sit by your side. Every day of the week we would visit the store. All the beautiful things you seek would soon be yours. 'Cause money burns a hole in my pocket. So I'm bringing you perfume and candy and roses of red, and wishing they were diamonds instead. Every day of the week we kind of visit the store. All the beautiful things you seek would soon be yours. Money burns a hole in my pocket. So I'm bringing you perfume and candy and roses of red, and wishing they were diamonds instead.
Thank you, Mr. Dean Martin. Dean was talking, of course, about the lifestyle money, the money that he has that's burning a hole in his pocket. And sitting here, I'm thinking about the Wealth and Wisdom show program, and I'm thinking, you know, maybe what we need is a concentration on the wisdom part. And so why don't we attempt during this show and in the future shows to put wisdom into our wealth, so that we handle our money in a more productive fashion, where we can test and verify each expenditure or each investment. When we talk about the accumulation, we take the money from our lifestyle and we're going to save an amount of money. Had we did a cash flow analysis or a budget, we'd know that we perhaps wanted to, according to the charts, save 10, 15, 20% of our take-home pay. And so we would set up and an attempt to accumulate that. Now, when we start a budget or cash flow, it never works. It doesn't. It's just the nature of the product itself. The establishing of the scheme, it won't work for the first month. I can guarantee that. The second month, it'll start to fall into line a little bit better. By the third or fourth month, you'll have control of it, because it's adjusted, because it's a living thing. You bring home an amount of dollars, and it's placed into what's called a structure, and it allows you to determine how much you're going to spend, when you're going to spend, where you're going to spend. And if you do that, wouldn't that eliminate an awful lot of contention? Where should the money go? You know, they say that a lot of marriages argue and fight over money. They even talk about divorces. We're not here to talk about that. But I'm saying, if that's the case, if husbands and wives fight and argue, cause confrontations to disrupt their love, why don't we eliminate that by putting it down on paper and eliminate some of the arguing or the fights that we might have? How about the guilty feelings about spending something that we know we shouldn't have spent on, the shame for not being able to pay the bills, not being able to keep the home or to keep the automobiles, and the fear? How about the additional stress that it not only puts upon us as individuals, but upon our relationship with our brides and grooms and our spouses? So I think the structuring, the looking at budgets and cash flows would do us all a great benefit by giving us the latitude to go out and do the things that we want. One of the things that we want to do is, of course, create an independence by accumulating money. This is our nest egg money, and this is what Dean Martin was having a problem doing. But look at a couple of priorities that we have to have. First of all, we want to keep control of our money. I had done business some years ago. He's passed on now, but a very, very wealthy and famous individual in the Chicagoland area. And he said, whenever I did anything with him, he'd say to me, Fred, he said, just as long as my money's liquid. Just as long as he could get to his money. So he'd have the complete use and the control over his dollars. And so that's why I put that number one. We've got to be able to control our money. We can't say that I have a lot of money, but I can't get to it. Well, what good is it? I can't get to it. Why? I don't know. That doesn't make any sense to have your money controlled by somebody else. We want good growth. We want the maximum possible growth. How do we know we're getting the maximum possible growth? My friends, in light of the erosion factor, you've got to verify. You've got to continuously test. We can't put a financial plan in place today and expect it to hold water 10 and 15 and 20 years from now. Are you kidding? How about inflation? How about health? How about disability? How about any one of a number of things that can occur in our lives that change and alter those plans? I mean, the plan's no good? Of course it's no good. It's no good the day after it was prepared because interest rates and all of the various economic factors can change. How about the liabilities that we incur? How about the protection element? What's protecting that bathtub or that $3 million worth of money? You see, we've got to guard it. And what do we guard it against? Well, of course, it's common sense to lock the doors or lock the windows or have a home security device. But how about our nest eggs? What are we doing to protect them? You know, this money could dissipate. This money could go away in a day or 2 days or 5 days without you having control over it. There's almost nothing you can do. The monies that we have, well, of course, we've got a great variety. We've got stocks, bonds, mutual funds. There's as I mentioned some time ago, there's more mutual funds than there are individual stocks. Bonds, municipal bonds, tax-free bonds. Tax-free bonds, how about, are they tax-free in all cases? They may not be. How about the tax-free bonds that cause you to pay tax on your Social Security? What's free about those bonds? How about preferred stock? Any of us own any preferred stock? You see, it goes on and on and on. I even hear advertisements for options. Come to our seminar and we'll teach you how to trade options. Man, when I was a broker, you put a person in options, it's very risky. That opens the door to a whole mess of things that a lot of individuals don't understand. And they really shouldn't have any place in their portfolios at all. So what we're going to do is create problems, create more problems with not even the loss of principal, but with the erosion factors, with the increase of taxation, the erosion of taxes and opportunity costs on down the line. Let's see what happened to L, to show you how we could lose our fortune in a blink of an eyelash.
They used to tell me I was building a dream, and so I followed the mob. When there was earth to plow or guns to bear, I was always there, right on the job. They used to tell me I was building a dream, with peace and glory ahead. Why should I be standing in line, just waiting for bread? Once I built a railroad, I made it run, made it race against time. Once I built a railroad, now it's done. Brother, can you spare a dime? Once I built a tower up to the sun, brick and rivet and lime. Once I built a tower, now it's done. Brother, can you spare a dime? Once in khaki suits, gee, we look swell, full of that Yankee doodly-dum. 500,000 boots went slogging through hell, and I was the kid with the drum. Say, don't you remember, they called me Al. It was Al all the time. Why don't you remember, I'm your pal. Say, buddy, can you spare a dime? Once in khaki suits, ah, gee, we look swell, full of that Yankee doodly-dum. 500,000 boots went slogging through hell, and I was the kid with a drum. Oh, say, don't you remember, they called me Al. It was Al all the time. Say, don't you remember, I'm your pal. Buddy, can you spare a dime?
That was Bing Crosby, 1933. Buddy, can you spare a dime? When I first ran across this song, I thought, nah, it's too sad. You know, 1933, just trying to come out of the Depression. But again, it just highlights a fear that or concern that we should have with the control of our money. Al worked. He was a hard-working guy. He came out of the First World War, worked hard, and because of circumstances over which he had no control, wound up standing in line for bread. It happened to a lot of good, hard-working, honest people through no fault of their own. But let's add a little bit more wisdom to our money. Keep control of it. We can make it grow, but know what we're doing with our money. If you don't know how, or your advisor doesn't know how to verify the controls of your dollars and doesn't put it all down for you, give me a call. Send me an email, 630-673-4360. My email address is fbelsecure, FBELSECURE, at AOL.com. Now we'll get to the amount of money that we're giving away unknowingly or unnecessarily, and that's the transfer of money. Remember, we talked about the three places that you'd put money: your lifestyle, your accumulation money, or your nest egg, or money that we're just giving away through interest payments. 34% of our take-home pay is used to service debt. That should be unheard of. Money's being taken away in unnecessary payment of taxes. We're not talking about not paying taxes. Pay the taxes, but don't pay taxes that you don't need to. Take a look at the portfolios. And then, of course, the opportunity costs that are attached with any decision, especially any financial decision that we could make. We ran figures, and we looked at what it costs to finance an automobile. We looked at what it costs to finance credit cards. The amounts are staggering, at least $50,000 over a 20-year period in each of those accounts. That's an awful lot of money to be giving away. Well, I can see the time is up for this week. I look forward to receiving the phone calls. Leave a message if I'm not able to take the call. I enjoy hearing from you. Thanks for those emails. I'll discuss any that I can that's in line with the program that we're doing. And the real key to creating wealth is know what you're doing and verify with confidence. Okay, folks, thanks again for listening. Thank you, John, for doing a great job at the board. We'll see you all next week.
When you're smiling,
When you're smiling,
when you're smiling,
when you're smiling,
and the whole world smiles with you. And when you're laughing,
when you're laughing,
oh, you're laughing.
oh, you're laughing,
When the sun comes shining through.
shining through.
When you're crying,
When you're crying,
you bring on the rain.
bring on the
Stop
rain.
your sighing.
Stop your sighing.
Won't you be happy again?
Happy again.
When you're smiling,
When you're smiling,
keep on smiling.
keep on smiling.
And the world will smile with you.
You have been listening to Wealth and Wisdom with Fred Belcastro from the John DeVita Broadcast Center on Jack FM 89.7, WRHS FM Norwich, and the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network on Friday, November the 21st, the year 2014. This broadcast was directed by John DeVita, and our thanks to radio station manager Kevin Zefalik and the executive producer of Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network, Mr. John Seconda. Until next time, be safe and thanks for listening. This broadcast was pre-recorded on Wednesday, November the 12th. And we are Jack FM 89.7, WRHS FM Norwich, and Jack Frost 88.1, WXMS Harwood Heights, Illinois.